this week.
We need a free press. Without it, that's how dictators get started.
I haven't seen any legislation coming forward that wants to limit the press. This is colored by John McCain's disagreement with President Trump. It all is.
And lift off of the Falcon 9 to the space station.
It's not just two stories. It's followed up by 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All this just total garbage.
President Trump holding back-to-back meetings to find his next national security advisor.
And I saw this man on television just now. Okay, let him up. Let him up. A star is born. A star is born.
Have a nice day. Have a nice day.
I think that's a little too noisy for today because a lot of people are sleeping.
A lot of people don't have to get up today.
On this nice day, it's President's Day 2017, the annual observation of George Washington's birth, always the third Monday in February. Today's the day. Good chance you got it off. Thanks for starting with us.
Great day to buy a mattress. They're always on sale today. Sure. And I think it's also important to know that channel 18 on Sirius is Bon Jovi. Nothing but Bon Jovi. I've heard so much.
Channel?
I keep thinking of New Jersey and Bon Jovi. He's got his own channel temporarily. He took it from Billy Joel.
Are you going to take advantage of the sales today?
Absolutely.
What do you need?
I need another mattress. I hate my mattress. My mattress turns on me. I like it in the beginning, but every day when I get up, I'm always sore.
See, what I'm tempted to do, because I've seen that commercial, is buy like 25 of the My Pillows and just put them together. As if one of them can change your life. Just imagine if you slept on a My Pillow.
On all of them?
Right? That would be fantastic.
It'll be great for the My Pillow guy, who is Dr. Larry Sabato.
Mattresses are expensive, so take advantage of the sale.
All right, I'm going to do it.
Meanwhile, it is President's Day, so let's talk about our president. And President Trump is kicking off another busy week at the White House later today with a new executive order expected on immigration coming this week.
The revisions are coming after he doubles down on his promise to keep terrorists out in a fiery speech on Saturday night.
Right. That was probably one of his best ever. Griff Jenkins is live in Washington, D.C. with the latest. Hey, Griff.
Hey, good morning, guys. That's right. No break for the president at the White House, expecting a new executive order on immigration. This one more narrow, possibly as soon as today, certainly within the next few days. The president reinforced his intentions at that rally you mentioned on Saturday night. I listen to these judges talk and talk and talk. So unfair. So we'll be doing something over the next couple of days. We don't give up. We never give up. I think you'll be impressed. Let's see what happens. Here's the bottom line. We've got to keep our country safe. A draft of the revised travel ban targets the same 7 countries and exempts travelers who already have a visa to travel to the U.S. We're also learning that some other actions may include new procedures to speed up deportation hearings, giving agencies more authority to detain and deport illegals, hiring 5,000 Border Patrol officers, and hiring 10,000 ICE agents. Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert weighing in that this will be a good thing.
They're going to tailor that so that we don't have the problem that arose and I think offended the conscience of a lot of people, that you had people that got on the plane legally with the proper paperwork, and when they got off, they were stopped in America, and that created all kinds of problems. So they're going to make sure that doesn't happen this time.
You may recall that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals sort of put things on hold here, and the president tweeted, "We'll see you in court." Well, it may be a less than slow day here in Washington, even though it's a holiday, guys.
All right. Hey, Griff, you were actually at that rally on Saturday night down in Melbourne, Florida. Ainsley was just talking about how there's something ricocheting around the internets that says that guy, Gene Huber, was a plant. Anything to that?
Well, I can't confirm it, but I did spend a lot of time talking to Gary. I was there for Fox and Friends, and I was interviewing folks in line. I went straight to the front of the line to see who it was. I met Gary. I spent time. I talked to his friends. He seemed quite legit to me, and his passion certainly came across. We'll find out, but he seems to be at least Trump's biggest fan in Florida.
Yeah, he was so excited. We're going to be interviewing him this morning, so we can ask him about that. He's saying he's not a plant, so we'll dive into that with him.
It's interesting to be a plant and get up at 3:30 in the morning. Thanks, Griff. I'll get up at 3:30 in the morning and just to be first online.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. And every day at work, did interview him. Meanwhile, just in terms of what he's going to put in that plan, there's all indications are this will go off good, but I also think they got to watch the language. Don't call it a ban. It's a pause to set up extreme vetting and a procedure, number one. And number two, as long as the Homeland Security Secretary knows what's going on, General Kelly has been fantastic at that job. Let him spread the word about what to do, and there won't be any people intentionally or unintentionally screwing up the communication.
Well, it's just like the first time, there will be parameters with the date set when it would start and when it would end. And also, just like in the first time, they're going to target those same 7 countries.
Well,
and regardless of what they put out there, count on a challenge from the political left on the constitutionality of whether or not the president is exceeding his authority.
People were so upset with the way it was handled when those folks from the 7 countries got to the U.S. They were held up at the airport. Are they even allowed to get on a plane? They won't be allowed to get on a plane now. If they have a visa or if they are a dual citizen, they can get on the plane, or if they have a green card, and they can enter the U.S. That is the difference in this new plan, allegedly. He hasn't told us exactly what's on the plan, but that's what sources are saying.
You have a green card, it's a go. And number two is, and General Mattis said this yesterday, you got to have a provision there for those people, especially in Iraq, that have been helping us out. They want to come here. They've already been screened. You can't send the wrong message. Don't work with the U.S. to go back on their word.
Surely.
Right.
Meanwhile, Rush Limbaugh was on with Chris Wallace yesterday. It was a great interview. And Rush made a great observation. These days, when people talk about immigration, people are talking about people who are coming in legally and illegally. Listen to this.
We've even lost the definition of immigration. Immigration today, if you listen to the left, equals anybody who wants to come into the country should be allowed. That's not what immigration is. That's illegal immigration, and we ought to all oppose it. We are all in favor of immigration that determines who gets in, the quantity of people who get in, whether they assimilate or not. Nobody's opposed to that. But immigration has been defined now as people flooding the country who are non-citizens, and that's called immigration according to the culture of the left. Then we're just ruining our opportunity to stay together as a people with common culture.
All right, so he says illegal, bad. Legal, good. Don't confuse the two.
Right. Meanwhile, it's confusing. It's getting confusing to find out who's a Republican and who's not. Senator John McCain, who's been a critic of Donald Trump, clearly Donald Trump rankled a lot of feathers when he won personally. He had a lot of his candidates and a lot of people going against him, one of which was John McCain. And I thought John McCain was over. Clearly he's not, when he said, I like people that don't get captured. So from the minute he took over, Donald Trump hasn't been perfect, but clearly John McCain's been his biggest critic. And now he took action over in Munich, making a series of statements and indicating and implying that Donald Trump is assuming dictator-like qualities. He expanded on that on Meet the Press.
I think that the Flynn issue obviously is something that shows that in many respects this administration is in disarray and they've got a lot of work to do. If you want to preserve democracy as we know it, you have to have a free and many times adversarial press. And without it, I'm afraid that we would lose so much of our individual liberties over time. That's how dictators get started.
He knew exactly what he was doing. He's a smart guy. Look, he's been around the Senate. He knows that when by using dictator in a soundbite where he's talking about Donald Trump, the left would jump on it. The media would run with it. They did. Rand Paul, a senator from Kentucky, listened to that and said this about John McCain.
I see President Trump expressing his opinion rather forceful in his own, his own distinct way. But I see no evidence that anybody's putting forward any kind of legislation to limit the press.
Okay.
So I think people, this is colored by John McCain's disagreement with President Trump. It all is. Everything that he says about the president is colored by his own personal dispute he's got running with President Trump. And it should be taken with a grain of salt because John McCain's the guy that's advocated for war everywhere. He would bankrupt the nation. And actually, we're very lucky John McCain's not in charge because I think we'd be in perpetual war.
You expect it from the Democrats to go over to other countries or even say it here in this country that they don't like Donald Trump. But he's a fellow Republican, and he's going to other countries, and he's saying this in front of other world leaders. If you watch the speech in Munich, Angela Merkel is sitting right there on the front row. The whole world is watching this speech and talking about it.
And, of course, what started that was when Donald Trump over the weekend referred to the media as the enemy of the American people. You know what's getting lost here is how many times did Hillary Clinton and or Barack Obama refer to Republicans as the enemy?
Right.
A number of times. And yet, did that become a big story? No, because they weren't talking about the press and the press has exploded on.
Listen, I could definitely understand his frustration with certain things and not condemning Russia right away. And no one knows and has met more people in more horrible countries than John McCain, from Syria to Beirut over Russia, Ukraine. But having said that, just think about this. If you had Hillary Clinton, do you think you would get the increase in the armed services budget that you're looking for?
Right.
Would you get the muscular type answers? Would there be red lines that were going to be ignored? You have a much better option with Donald Trump. Not perfect, but better. And your party's in control of the White House.
Right, right. You know, if you have a problem within the party, there's loyalty, and you should just sit down with the president, have a conversation in private maybe about this. But you're right. There are a lot of Republicans that do feel the same way about him that didn't vote for Donald Trump.
Right.
And he does have free speech. He does have the right to
and
do
Ainsley,
it.
he had Marco Rubio over late last week. Maybe you should call McCain and say, listen, let's work this out.
Right.
Before the election, just remember, John McCain said, yep, I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump, and I've got a feeling they haven't patched things up.
Is he considered the establishment, the swamp?
John McCain has been there for a very long time. You be the judge.
All right, Heather, what's happening?
Well, while that storm continues to brew, we're going to talk about some real weather that people need to know about this morning. Good morning to you and to everyone at home. A possible tornado is where we begin, ripping through central Texas overnight, damaging 100 homes in San Antonio. Heavy rain and winds up to 70 miles per hour did this, knocked down trees, knocked out power for at least 20,000 people. Lightning strikes being eyed as causing several house fires as well, including this one. We are, of course, keeping an eye on this developing story, and we will keep you posted. But the president still looking for the right person to replace former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. He spent yesterday interviewing 4 candidates for the post: Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, who is the acting National Security Advisor, John Bolton, Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster, and Lieutenant General Robert Caslen. More interviews expected today. And new overnight, Secretary of Defense James Mattis landing in Baghdad for a surprise visit. He's there to talk about defeating ISIS and to assure the Iraqis that we are not there for their oil.
I think all of us here in this room, all of us in America have generally paid for our gas and oil all along, and I'm sure that we will continue to do so in the future. We're not in Iraq to seize anybody's oil.
The secretary making those reassurances following comments by President Trump during the campaign, you may remember. And an honor for one of our own, very big honor, Brian Kilmeade asked to speak at a ceremony at Fort Totten as the 354th U.S. Army Reserve Transportation Battalion prepares to deploy to Kuwait.
We have one objective: to win, and America always wins. But how many people decide to sign up and say, yeah, I'll work for UPS, I'll work as a teacher, I'll work as an instructor, but when my country calls, everything goes on hold, I train for a couple of months, and I'm going over to Kuwait. Went to Kuwait ahead of time.
55 soldiers and their families for their service. What a great honor, Brian. There's a look at your headlines so far.
Yeah, we talk about that a little bit later. Right now, they're en route to Kuwait, and all the families showed up. It's just one example of what happens every single day. They're gone for a year, and